Yeah, no, that's cool. So we're on episode 6, right? Okay, well, welcome to episode 6 of Beyond the Veil. I nearly forgot the name. I'm Tengu, I'm my co-host.
Tribe.
Okay, so we're good to today. We haven't done one in a while because, it's been busy.
Well, wait. I want to say a few things before we start. We
Uh-huh.
actually did do one, and if anybody followed us, I saw we got like 5 views on it. There's one thing I did want to say to people. Me and Tengu are two separate human beings, that came together, and we have, of course, different opinions, different beliefs. When I'm on here talking about things and I'm saying something, that does not mean that Tengu is completely agreeing with me because this is all for entertainment purposes and stuff. So I don't want people coming on Beyond the Veil's channel and coming at Tengu for the stuff that I've said. I'll link my stuff, and if anybody ever wants to like go back and forth, hit me up for that. But Tengu's not the person to do that with. That's something that really upset me because I thought last podcast was really good. But we did do one. People just I didn't like the way they were treating the page and Tengu, so I'm just like putting that out there. That I don't really give a fuck about what people think. There's certain things that we're not going to talk about, and
Uh-huh.
me and him have done this, but I did just want to say that because
It has been released on our podcast, so if you wanted to listen to it, it is available on the podcast and Tengu Tribe. So we didn't, the video is gone, but the show is still there, so you can listen to it there if you really want to. So
Mhm.
that would have been episode 5, but we're skipping it. So we're on 6 because this is the sixth episode of Beyond the Veil. So today I wanted to, weirdly enough, it's strange that the path this led me to, right? So I'm gonna give a little bit of information about me. I'm clearly a white dude, skin white, so that's first off. I'm Irish, Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland, not Britain. So a lot of people get that shit confused. First off, Ireland is a republic, and this is very kind of patriotic. I'm a member of the Republic of Ireland, not the UK. So please don't call me British. That's an insult. That's to anyone out there, and that's just an insult to me because Ireland was conquered by Britain, and that's a whole different story altogether. And we're not conquered anymore, and there's a fuckload of shit going on still about that. But anyway,
we should do a podcast someday on that though.
oh, it's a long one.
I, I'm very because I want to know what
Hmm,
when your ancestors and you have went through, because
hmm.
you know much about us, but like
Oh
I was
yeah,
care about the snakes, just simple stuff that I would like to know, but you
yeah,
know.
of course, of course. So as I'm Irish, I was raised Catholic, so that was my original Christian faith. I've been baptized, I've made my communion, so I have all the holy stuff that a Catholic person would have. Now, when I say that Catholic person, that is my past faith. I still part of it is it, what can I say? The Catholic Church in general is not really. They wouldn't be one of the. They haven't got a very nice track record going in the past, but that's a completely other story altogether. But in saying that, the reason I'm mentioning that is because that faith, the Catholic faith, is the only faith that actually can do what we're going to talk about today, which is exorcisms. So they're the ones that can kind of, they're the only ones, even other religions like Protestant religions, other religions will refer people to the Catholic Church if they feel that someone is possessed by a demon. And yes, I'm going to say demons and devils because that's the topic today.
And I want people to really think about that because I have been ill about God. I don't like hearing the word God, my whole life and the church and stuff. But then Tengu introduced me, opened up like a whole new Pandora's box for me. And I'm telling you, like there are literal people, and just like he says, they have to be certified. They have to go through courses. This is a job, and it's very like, oh, I can imagine doing it. But there are people who do exorcists, and there's people who do exorcisms very frequently. Like, and I can't believe it's not talked about more.
And it's frightening, and even the thought of it is even giving me kind of chills on the arms because I've been reading books on it, and it's just scary shit that's going on, and we see demons, entities. They're first off, they're entities. They are not basically they're pure evil. There's no good in a demon. That's basically the first part. And I know people saying, "Oh, this is bullshit," blah 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 blah. And so, well, maybe you think it's bullshit. You're probably possessed. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there because
Yeah.
the story I'm going to talk about is about an actual possession. So I'm going to give a little backstory on myself first off. So I was raised Catholic, and that's my family's faith, and I was baptized. So that's all there. So I would be Christian. When I was younger, I did stray, and I have still. I'm doing my own thing now. I strayed away from that belief structure because I found aspects of it that I was like a bit tedious, and I was like, oh, this they call them God, source, whatever you want to call it. It's a supreme being,
Mhm.
not a being, a being, which is technically a creator. And I'm sure there is one main one that's created everything, and all the others are part of this. Now, by me saying that, that's already there. If I was to say that to say someone of my faith, they would like, oh no, you're pagan, you're evil. Basically, that's always going to be the way. And any Christian will think, Christian belief structure will say that.
You're not fitting in their box. Somebody
Mm,
can't be born and then you give them a book that has been revised so many times by so many different people. People compartmentalized into
mm,
different things, and you can't be like, if you don't go by everything in this book, you aren't what this is. When
mm,
Christianity is spread out through, and everybody has a different belief about what religion is. So I feel like people have to make their own religions, pretty much. Like we have to stop trying to fit our beliefs in a box and just be like, well, this is what's presented to me, the information. So this is what I believe, and it doesn't have a name, really.
mm,
What we believe in shit does not have a name. You can't really give it a religion. We're not atheists, because we believe in a creator and stuff. But there's so much more because people don't even believe it. Even people who believe in God and stuff don't or believe in God don't really like think that these things exist, like these entities, and they don't think that they're not being possibly controlled either. It's just like, how are you not aware of that? And I am, and I'm not even in your faith, and I'm
mm,
aware of possessions and entities and low vibrational shit, and you're not. So that scares me about religion because I feel like it programs you and
mm.
puts you, and then anything outside of that you will not accept. So you're just stuck.
That's true, and that's the reason I strayed away. But in saying that, at the same time, I do not hate that faith. I'm not like fuck them, they're dickheads and assholes because within that faith they have a dark history. Like any, and I'm not saying not just that religion, even Buddhism has a dark history.
Mhm.
People didn't realize people assume Buddhism is all peace and love. No, there has actually been Buddhist monks fighting in wars and killing people. So I mean, that's Buddhism as well. So we're not just specifically saying, oh, Catholicism is evil. Then
That's
you have,
never knew
hmm?
that. I never knew
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, that's
That seems heroic. Like that's another thing, killing and stuff. And I don't mean to be weird about this, and you would understand this if anybody came into Ireland, you would fight as a warrior for your
mhm.
people, didn't you? You would
Yes, you would, yeah.
you would take a life, and it's not because you're a bad person.
Mhm.
And but monks, that's something I did not know, but
Yeah.
that's warrior type to me, but it doesn't mean they're like, but oh my god. I'm sorry. Did you see the thing about the Dalai Lama when he asked that kid to suck his tongue?
I just I don't even know what to think of that.
Go on though, but I'm just putting that out there.
I don't even know what to think of that, to be honest with you. It's like
Bro,
that's just weird shit. Yeah. Maybe he was joking. I don't know.
that's what I mean. Things are not solid. Like we look at something and we think, oh, this is no, these people are branched off and they're not following like
Mhm.
the rules. Like it's a facade and stuff like that. Because a lot of people looked up to him, and that shit that I mean upset me. And I don't even know about the Dalai Lama, but that's another thing. Like I'm like, how
Yeah.
how many people are, and we'll get into this, possessed by like this type of entity that makes them especially attracted to children and want to harvest children's energy and do
Oh
sexual.
yeah, there's that's happening as right now. We see this on like look at like Hollywood for fuck's sake. I mean, we already know what's going on there, and I'm sure there's influence of some sort of entity. The thing is, that's just fucked up shit now, and that really is. So that I'm just saying, whatever with the dude, the Dalai Lama, that was just weird.
Did you get that thing on your screen?
Which thing?
The meeting's gonna end in 10 minutes because I don't have the one version. So
Oh, okay.
make I don't even know what we'll do. We'll just like cut this and then we'll restart.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. We can do that. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'll need longer than 10 minutes to do the
Okay, so do you just wanna you wanna talk about something real quick now and then or just hang up and get back into it?
No, I'll continue on what we're saying. Like, we didn't really, so we'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll try it again in a second, and I'll piece them together. So it will. So as I was saying, that was his weird shit with him, and I'm going to talk a little bit myself. So I did start off as a Catholic. I'm just keeping an eye on the time here. So I did stray off that path, and the first thing I kind of looked into was a form of witchcraft, which is called Christian pagan witchcraft, which kind of kept me in my little kind of old Christian ways, but as opposed to say calling one god, we would say Mary as a god and Joseph as a god, and that's kind of how that one worked, and that was interesting to do, but I didn't get any kind of, to be honest, I didn't get any really results from that. So then I kind of strayed a bit more and I looked into like normal paganism, witchcraft, and it was fine. I got some results, but nothing I could really say, oh, this has made everything amazing. There is one thing I did get a result from, and I do not recommend it. I did mess with, I know I'm a white dude, so first of all, it's not, I shouldn't. Well, I don't think it matters what color skin you can. I did play with voodoo, and that one did give me results, but it also caused a lot of weird shit to happen. So basically, I'm not gonna say I asked for something and yeah, I got it. I done the specific voodoo ritual. There was no animals or anything harmed in this, and this as wasn't a sacrificial one. This is a simple one.
But that's how they get you. So you continue to keep
Mm.
them for stuff and then it's your
Yeah,
time you're
I'm
getting.
not even gonna mention the Loa, who I went to. That Loa did answer, and I did get a resp and it did help. But I forgot one major thing. So for 2 years, everything was perfect, and then it just kind of all crashed down really hard, and a lot of bad shit happened. I'm not going to get into. And then I realized, why did this happen to me? And I was like, fuck, I forgot to make an offering to this specific Loa, and that was my fuck up. They want offerings, so if they give you something, you give them something back. They do not make a. Their deal is I
Yep.
give to you, you give to me. You don't do that, they will fuck with you. It started off with horrific nightmares, and they were twisted, dark nightmares, and it was really horrible. And so when I realized 2 years later, I was like, okay, I need to make this offering. I made the offering, and then I just made the offering what was supposed to be offered. It was a simple offering, so it was like some wine and a cigar, and that was the offering. Simple, but offering with some sweets. That was perfect. Done the offering, closed that pact, and then I completely said I will never touch that again. Now, I'm lucky in the case because that was light, because I know I've heard of people doing stuff with that and it gets really, really twisted and dark, and I don't even know any more about it than that. And that was the one that gave me results. And then after that I was like, I just kind of stepped away from any kind of belief structure because I was like, that thing fucked with me, but at the same time it wanted something, and that's kind of the thing I'm gonna get into. How I'm not saying the law is a demon. It's a type of god,
Mm-hmm. Tricks
but
they tricksters too to
mhm.
being
Yeah.
well. So sometimes well more than likely they're always going to want something from you, but you can be favored by spirits,
Mhm.
even bad ones. Like people don't understand that. People think, "Oh my God, now." Yeah, depending on who you are, maybe even your DNA lineage, your ancestors,
Mhm.
you might get tied to some dark things that too they possibly can't escape. So they're
Mhm.
in the realm and they're helping you as well. Oh, that's why one reason I would never touch. Do I know girls who do witchcraft, like do love spell? That stuff scares me. That scares
A,
them. I would never do
a
anything.
love spell is people say love spell is white magic. It's not. It's black magic. It's a control.
Yes, dude. Anything. Okay, this is how this is how I think of witchcraft
Now
because
we only have 5 minutes, so
okay, let me say this real quick. Okay, so this is what I think of witchcraft because I'm a gamer. So I look at witchcraft as having to do a set of things, cheat codes, to get a result that you normally would not get if you would just play by the rules and do it normally. That's hacking.
Mhm.
And we're in a simulation and magic is real and stuff. So I believe it's weak. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to other people that mess around with stuff, even if you're doing money spells or even little tiniest stuff, that's opening doorways and stuff like that. I am never going to ever do the littlest thing because I feel like I'm powerful enough to manifest on my own. I do not need to do any spells because the power is already in me. Whenever you're doing spells, especially like something like a love spell, like how can you even live with yourself like knowing you've done this to a person and like it's not even authentic. Like I just think that some of it is way too normalized, especially
Mhm.
in some communities. Like that stuff is it's it's serious. It's so serious and you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that is there is like what I've learned with witchcraft. There is good and bad spells, but the ones you think are good are not necessarily good. And love spell is
Who would
a perfect example.
Before we even go on, who would think a love spell? What's the Okay, a genie pops out of the bottle. What are the rules?
3 wishes,
Well, yeah, three wishes,
and
but what
he can fool you.
he will not bring anybody back from the dead and he cannot make nobody fall in love.
Mm.
So I already knew those things are like you're not supposed to do that. We've talked about the golem and stuff. That's not that person. If you bring it back, there, if you bring something back from the dead, it's not going to
Mm.
be that person. So to that, like, and then you think of genies, jinn,
Jin,
they're
yeah,
like that, they can grant wishes just like I know. I'm
okay. So we were talking before we had a little quick break. We were talking about well, the topic today was going to be exorcism anyway, so that's kind of where we're going to go with that. I was saying that Buddhists have fought and killed as well, so they're not all a peaceful religion, and
sorry.
all religion has fought, and we're like there's been holy wars, and speaking of holy wars, as we speak right now, there's probably a spiritual war going on, not in this realm, but in another realm, and that's between light and dark. And if we're going to talk about light and dark, we're going to say God and his angels and devil and demons. That's kind of the topic today. So as I was saying at the start, I strayed and I dabbled with stuff I shouldn't have dabbled with. I learned from that, and then when myself and Tribe got talking, I found one thing the reason we named this whole podcast, and I've mentioned it so many times, is after a Greek goddess called Nyx, who is a secret goddess, and I believe is one of the main creators. We could call her a source, and she could be linked to all the rest. So she opened up what we call the veil. And
Yeah.
now the weird thing is, since we've done this podcast, I am hearing that being mentioned so many times. The veil has been lifted. The veil has been lifted, and that's to me that's insane.
Yeah, I want to tell you something too, because I mentioned this like in other podcasts I'm watching. These people who were in the Montauk project and everything. And there's this dude called Arkeem Ra, and I was typing in a live chat, and I said something about Nyx, my mother, and he runs the channel, so you don't get messages, replies back from them, much. And he put in the channel that I've been searching for Nyx and I need to get a hold of her. and it was kind of crazy. And
Oh.
talk about these all these types of gods and stuff, you'll have to like see and everything. But I just told him I was like, I have an altar, and me and my best friend Tengu, we believe that if you start to search for her, she will then come the rest of the way and find you. And I just told him, I mean, because it just sounds crazy saying it out loud. But
Hmm.
bro, dude said I want to talk to Nyx. Like I need to talk to her. So I was like, I'm one of her. I was thinking like I'm one of her child. Like I already feel connected to her. So like
Yeah,
he told me that. I feel like she knew, as soon as he told me that, she knew that he was wanting to contact her. So that's how I felt. But it was really crazy. Like
that
Nyx,
is really interesting. And now,
yeah,
even if he contacts her, she may or may not answer. That's the thing with her. She's not like
yeah,
she's not gonna. It's not like a trained dog. Hey, fetch, catch. If she wants to, she will. If she doesn't, she won't. And that's the thing that makes her different than all the others.
yeah.
Because if we
So
look at say,
I feel like too, like we talked about, maybe she's been a little not powerless, but she hasn't been as strong, but she's getting stronger. And when
oh,
something being stronger, it's able to spread out and contact more. So I feel like there's been a lot of oppression of the female feminine energy all over the world,
mhm,
everywhere, you know. And that also caused Gaia, the earth, who is feminine. Gaia
mhm,
is a girl. People didn't know that. But it just caused it affect it, it doesn't only affect us, but of course the gods and their vibrations,
mhm,
especially when you think of celestial fears. So like some they're supposed to be actual gods, and then I feel like it can like gods can then project their consciousnesses down to smaller thing, fractal. If you can
mhm.
understand what I'm saying, just
Yeah,
like source takes its big self and makes everything, and everything is it, and then it experiences itself. So it can
I think source is the one of all.
yeah.
The one of all, and the source I think in every belief structure be it. Now this will make some people angry. I think if you're Muslim, Catholic, Protestant, Christian, you're all praying to the God who is source. I'm gonna call it source. You can call it what you want. No, you're gonna say no, no, no. It's there's no others but him or her or whatever. Well, source is probably the main one, but why would source like want to do everything? I'm sure there's others out there. And then when we come to that source, then you got the angels.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, they would be as powerful as a god in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to the fallen angels, and we know the fallen angels, as is mentioned now. I am referencing a lot of the Bible stuff because that's kind of the topic we're on. The fallen
Yeah.
angels are Lucifer and his demons.
Yeah, and I just want to mention too, because about how this has to do with frequency vibrations and how, like, if you change the frequency of a timeline, like you can switch into a different um dimension and everything. Uh, shit, what was I gonna say? That just totally went.
Hmm,
That's something that happens to. I want you to know. You know how this happens to me all the time, where I
hmm,
forget things. It's not like it is me, but it's something else. Doesn't want me to
hmm.
speak what I'm saying, but
Yeah,
um
I know what you mean. I get what you're saying.
what were you saying though? Because it was fucking.
I was just saying, as in they're fallen. The demons would be classed
Oh
as fallen angels.
yeah, frequency. If you think about it, because you do not go up in the sky and go to heaven. You do not drill down into the earth and go to hell. You know that's not. And some people
Mhm,
probably like that, but it's not. It's because these places. Oh well, I don't only think that earth can be hell or heaven, but they're astral planes, and things can
exactly.
these different frequency planes.
Hmm.
And then I feel like when people say fallen angels, they got kicked out of their frequency plane. So they didn't get kicked out of like a planet or something up in the sky. Quite literally, they might, and because they're some are entities and stuff,
Hmm.
or looking for bodies are not like human like us. They're
Hmm. They never have been.
yeah, there's something different. And
Like
yeah,
the actual how they're described in Old Testaments and stuff like that is people would say, "Oh, an angel is this beautiful person with wings, and they're gorgeous and amazing." But in the description, they're like an undescribable entity with multiple eyes, and that's just one of many. So we as humans, we put our own kind of interpretation onto what they look like.
Also, yeah, I want to say this, and this ties into aliens too. I love it because I called them transformers, and I
Mhm.
just saw a good video of a transformer. And whenever I say that, this is a type of unidentified flying object that is not solidified. It comes inside of our density, and it has to fall inside of our physical laws. That's why
Mhm.
too. Think of this too. If something projects down into somebody, just like in Tron, when you go inside of the game, if you die in the game,
Mhm.
you die there. You
Yeah,
die. That would happen as well. But um, yep.
oh,
But
that's
saying something before I got to something else, but yeah, just go on.
so
I'll
anyway, that's kind of where I'm going. So as I said, I tried different when a Tengu or myself, when Tengu was me, when a Tengu tried thing happened, we kind of between ourselves, we kind of a lot has happened like between it's really great. No, the funny thing is we're in different countries. I've never physically met Tribe. I
yeah.
don't even know how tall or small she is, or if she's 10 foot tall. I don't even know.
Oh,
But,
I'm five. I'm only 5'2". But okay, crazy thing about this, because people who do not understand, like even really how this worked out and why I believe this is not a coincidence. And I truly believe we were supposed to do this. We're making a difference, and we probably have past lives together. It would make sense to me. But if anybody does know me, I am a very I'm closed off. Like I have my personality online and stuff. People think I'm outgoing, like I'm maybe a party girl. I have agoraphobia. I do not leave my house literally unless I have to. I don't hang out with people, especially since I moved out of my mom's house. So whenever it comes to people messaging me, I'm very weird about who I give my energy to because I do not do small talk. That irritates the hell out of me, or some people trying to just get with me. Tengu messaged me from an account with probably even an animated type picture, which is
it
crazy.
was, yeah.
On It was on Twitter, which I don't even get on a lot,
Oh, I'm
and
gone from that.
so many messages on there from weirdos. But I don't even know what your name was on there. And I just went through my messages one day randomly and looked through it, and he just simply said, "Yo, would you like to do a podcast sometime? I think maybe you mentioned you're a paranormal investigator." And I was just like, who is this person? Like, I mean, he must have like looked up a little bit about me, just think, oh, we could do a podcast. And I was just like, yeah, why not? I did not think that it was really going to happen, but I was not totally shutting it down. I was open to it. I was like, okay, if we were consistent about it. And then our first conversation could have been a podcast. I wish that we would have recorded our first conversation. It was very long, and every time after that, our podcasts are we just get ideas, and we don't really have like a script. Sometimes we have to we're like we're going to talk about this, and we have to change the name of the podcast afterwards because. So this is really a beautiful thing, like how we did get to come together in the aspect like I have literally found my spirituality and faith. And Tengu, you say what like how you feel even past 2 years. Like, what do you feel about it?
It's great. I've been doing podcasts on my own before, and they were pretty much a failure because it was just me talking, and no one was interested. I mean, like it's just some dude talking to a ghost and shit like that. And now, in all fairness, I did manage to get onto another podcast and tell one of my stories, which was nice. But it didn't nothing went there from that. So then I seen how we met Triad. It was one. I think I seen one of your Transformer tattoos, and that was like, oh, that cool tattoo kind of thing. And that's kind of where the whole conversation started. And then I was like, oh, and then you start talking about like a UFO type stuff, and then I was like, that's straight. I was like, oh fuck, I'd love to get into a podcast with this girl. This she probably know would be someone that would be interested because I've been trying to find a long time someone to actually come on and do a podcast, and I was like, no one would.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what we do is brainstorming too. And
Mm.
will say this is all for entertainment purposes because we do have to say that. But it's quite amazing if you do go back. And I know some people probably won't. They'll come into this YouTube on the Veil and they'll probably start here. But I'm telling you, our old shit from a year ago was is as amazing as the stuff, even without like with our videos and stuff like the stuff we talked about and
Bingo Tribe on Spotify, and I think it's some of it is on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if it's all on Spotify because there was some issue somewhere. One of them didn't give all the episodes. I think Apple Podcast has them all. I think, or
yeah.
I can't. One of them has them all anyway, so you could listen to them. That Bingo Tribe podcast, and that's our kind of first podcast interaction.
Hmm. Yep.
And it is great to have done this and to keep doing. I mean, we don't do them a lot. Like it's irregular, but time frame, like we're in a completely different time zone. Like it's
Hmm.
after midnight here. I don't
Yeah.
know what time it is there. So I mean, it's
It's not only that too. Tengu knows that I have like I have my own mental. I don't see them as disabilities, honestly, but like I'm not. Um, not standoffish, but like I need my space sometimes, and I don't like to do things. So I've canceled a few on him. Like
and that's fine.
I felt like I could do it even an hour before I'm like ready, but my moods go fluctuate, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, Tangy, like I can't. So it's really nice that we like he's been very understanding about that, but like that's this has helped me too as I've been in therapy so many times. I completed courses like 3 times. They're like on college courses whenever you go to the type of therapy I went to, learning about the DMS and breaking down everything.
Mhm.
So I do not believe that I need to be in um, therapy. I what I really needed was somebody to talk to and somebody to
And about our subjects.
yeah, and it's about like this. I didn't really need somebody to like I don't really want to bring up like my pain, but even though we even have talked about stuff in our past that interlinked with like why we believe what we believe in and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, I thought this is awesome. And I really do hope more people tune in and we can reach as much. I mean, that's was never the goal. We do this because we love it.
It's not for like likes and views, which are good, but it's not for that. It's like we want to put something out there that like it's like earlier we were saying like I'm a paranormal dude and Tribe is like aliens, UFOs. This is not something that you usually would come by, and I'm doing the hand things like Trump. But anyways, but
Yeah, I tell you, my friend Jose told me about this anime, and I don't know what it's called. I have to tell you again, but it's about literally us. It's so fucking crazy how he explained it. He said there's a girl who is an alien girl. She believes in aliens, and she hooks up with a dude who doesn't believe in aliens. He believes in paranormal stuff, and she's the same exact way. And it's really weird. They meet each
cool.
other and they start experiencing the opposites' beliefs in a way. It's an anime. I have not even watched but I was like, "Are you serious?" Because I was trying to explain like how we are, like Scully and Mulder,
Mulder and Scully,
yeah,
yeah.
Mulder and Scully and shit. So I don't know what that anime is, if anybody, but like two, as we did say that, press the like button and subscribe.
Yes, thank you.
Feed the algorithm. Um,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Third Eye Drops, his podcast, if you anybody knows who he is, I like how he says it. He calls the algorithm like almost like it's alive. Like it's something you have to feed. So he'll be like, feed the algorithm or it won't, it won't get out there and stuff. So like even though we're not doing this for likes, it is like very important. Like I just feel like this information is
Mhm.
it's in the ether right now for everybody. A lot of, and like
Especially now.
yeah.
So I was going, as I was saying, like this is what how it works. We have a great conversation. It's what makes it so much better than a normal scripted podcast.
Hmm.
So I was saying, like, I was given a bit of personal information about me. So I did stray to different. Oh, there's a ton. Did you make that? I don't know.
I'm trying to understand why I did that because I
I don't know. It's cool. But anyway,
didn't do
so
balloons. So happy birthday.
Oh, it didn't do that.
All right, but well,
But
how
like,
um okay, go ahead, because but I did want to like talk about how you said everybody around us is like demons and shit.
and this is what I will get into, and this is because I've read a book by I'll give this book and I'll give the writer's name because I can't remember the book, but the guy who wrote this book, his name is Father Carlos Martin. Now, I'm not Catholic; he's a Catholic priest, but this book, and he has a podcast. You can check it out, and the what I've learned from this book has opened my eyes to some crazy shit that I've never really thought of before. And that's really important. So it's opened me up. So as I was saying, I did dabble with different religions, and because I was trying to find the spiritual path. And I do not have an altar to any kind of anything. What I found was a like what people would what she's not mentioned. She's not mentioned in the Catholic Bible. She is mentioned in some of the Jewish scriptures. Um, it's Lilith. So I've asked Lilith for something, and and this is what I like. Difference between her and Aloha and all the others is that she did present without me needing to offer something up. And that is the first thing and this is important to me. So that's where I found a deity who is a very small fraction in the old Jewish Testaments, and I would class myself as a follower of her. Now, there's different versions of Lilith. Most, if not all of them, are demonized. The original goddess Lilith is supposed to be some evil baby and woman. That's incorrect. The one I have found, I think, is something more who's an in-between. This is my own personal view. She is an in-between. She's not heaven. She's not hell. She's in the middle.
Yeah, I feel like they do that to a lot of goddesses. Just like Kali is one goddess like
Hmm.
of and people be like, "Oh my God, she like has all those arms and like she's."
Hmm.
It's like I forget the story of whenever she went on a rage because she was so
Hmm.
mad at the way the earth was, and she went on a bloody rage and started killing people, and then
Hmm.
another god just hugged her or something, and Kali just like she upped her rage. Like I mean, she had to destroy like shit because of how it was. Like, just,
Kali is an interesting one because Kali is a goddess, but also becomes a god.
mm-hmm,
She's the most interesting of all the Hindi god. He or she is the most interesting of all the Hindi gods. Fascinating because they can choose as they're a god and not biological. Well, I'm not going to even get into that. They can do shit like that.
mm-hmm,
So I did, and then Lilith is kind of where I stand now, and not just Lilith. I will still look up to Nyx because I think Nyx is the higher of them all.
mm-hmm,
But Lilith's the one who kind of answered without me having to offer. And and as long as I like when I sometimes would just like if I pray, I will ask her as I would pray to like if I say to pray to Jesus, I would say to Jesus or to her. And I think she, in my opinion, is happy for just that. That you
mm-hmm,
give her a little, just not like she'll help you if you kind of just give her a bit more, like if you can, and that's without kind of. I don't think she is selfish. That's my views on her. And here, so I'm going to give a few little funny facts about me. I am an actual registered. This is hilarious. I am a registered reverend. I can perform funerals, baptisms, and
that's,
weddings. I actually can. So that's a funny little fact about me. I actually am a
what?
reverend.
That's dope, dude. What the fuck?
I'm ordained and everything, so it's
Wait, you? I don't even know because I want to get baptized, but not in the way that you think. Can you do that? Can you turn baptism but into what your belief is? Like, I want to be baptized, but under Lilith.
I think so. Yeah, I think that it's
Not,
possible.
like, cause I wanted like this girl to do it, but she's a Christian and stuff, and then I was like, dude, no, she'll probably like I don't want her to fucking. She's like, all she does is do something with your. like water on your head. I thought you like get a bath and everything, but I have all
Yeah.
I never it's a choice, you know. My mom left that up to me, and I
Mhm.
really do kind of, especially because I believe in something now. I want to get baptized, but not in the name of God, like in the name of I believe, like surrender
Mhm.
to almost, you know, in a sense.
I think it's possible, but even if you were to be this person could do a baptism, it's still a baptism. It brings a holy entity
Is
to
that
you.
like this
Be it
dude?
like,
Yeah, this dude was telling me about whole, or I sent you the one link. It's okay if you didn't watch it, but before
mhm.
we
I did.
start,
I was watching some of it. I didn't watch it all. I'm gonna watch the rest of it again.
oh yeah, it was really good. Fucking, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know the one, but so yeah, it is possible. It is possible, like depending on the faith and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's
Hmm.
something to it is good, I guess, in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion.
'cause they do. Oh my God, and this is awesome because what they were talking about on that series, and I always was like, "What is this?" And another reason I had problems with trying to paranormal and how
Mm.
it linked to like Jesus and
Mhm.
the Bible and everything. Like it's just hard to understand.
But in saying that, even to him, the Jesus, I will actually sometimes I'll say Jesus help me kind of thing. I will actually refer to him as well. And that's just how I am, like,
Wait,
because
you actually refer to him?
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely Jesus was a real person for sure.
yeah, definitely. And I think like I'm not gonna get really religious, but I think of all these faiths and stuff like that, most if not all faiths believe that he did, and I genuinely believe he was a really good person of them all. And that's just me saying that out there. I really think that's true. So and as Irish, we'll say, "Oh, Jesus fucking Christ." We'll say, "Jesus, Jesus." It's an Irish thing. We say Jesus a lot, and that's just it's just a funny
I actually do too. It's funny.
thing.
It's hilarious whenever you're in like a podcast talking about like parents and you're like Jesus Christ, like
Yes.
as like his name, you're like fuck Jesus Christ, but then it's so because like you're saying it, Jesus.
It's funny, like, but like,
Mhm.
I've respect for him. So,
For
it's
sure.
not like Zeus is a dickhead, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Wait, hold on. Did he say that? I think I'm not sure.
Who?
I think like one of the people, and I don't know if it was our team, but one of the people in the Montauk, I think one of them talked about Zeus, if
Oh
I'm
yeah,
remembering correctly, and he said he hated him, and I
yeah.
geeked out. But he was like, Zeus is a fucking asshole. Like, and I was like, oh my God, he knows Zeus. Like, I mean, it's
It's fun. It's funny, like, because I would see that it is when what you I studied Greek mythology, and he was a not a nice. I know I've said it so. He was not a nice god if he did possibly exist, but he was not a nice one to begin with. He was ruthless and all
a,
crazy.
a whore for real.
Oh, exactly. 100% horror. Oh, 27 minutes. So, will I have time to talk about this exorcism thing?
What?
We've been talking for 27 minutes. This is great. We can do the whole kind of break thing again, and I can piece it
Yo,
all
yeah,
together.
fine. Too, I do really like wanna like don't forget to talk about this because I want to talk about narcissism how and
Hmm.
how everybody around us could be like that parasite and stuff.
Yeah, I think I can. I think I would have enough time to talk about what I read anyway. So we'll talk. So let's get into the subject at hand: exorcisms. So when people think of an exorcism, they think, oh, the movie The Exorcist. And the movie The Exorcist is an interesting horror movie. It's very kind of Hollywoodized. That movie, however, is based on a true case, but not a girl. It was a little guy, a little kid in, if I'm not mistaken, Mexico somewhere. And that's what that story is actually based off. He was possessed, this kid in Mexico. I don't know his name, and I'm sure people could search it, they could find it, but I'm not talking to that's just Exorcist. The Exorcist movie is just an example of what how people would see what an exorcism is.
Yeah,
And to
he.
some, hmm?
I was just going to say just that one part that was like because I wanted to hear his thoughts on what do you think of the Exorcist movie because you're you do Exorcist
it,
and
it,
said like about the dude and I remember this whenever he's trying to take the demon out of the one
mhm.
boy he literally says like come into me or
Yeah, that doesn't
that
actually happen. The demon can't. A priest cannot invite a demon in because they're a priest and there's a certain way they can, and that doesn't happen. So that movie,
but the way he said that was a very bad image that
mhm,
they put inside the movie because when you do that, and that has happened, and that remember whenever we talk about the Vatican
mhm,
and stuff like that, and how these entities are ancient and stuff, and I feel like the Vatican and even our government are working with them. They're working with aliens. Why aren't they working with entities or demonic forces? So that just reminded me too of, uh, yeah, just like how.
yeah, no, they the parts of the movie that movie is very Hollywoodized. So the turning head and the vomiting and shit like that. Vomiting does happen,
Mhm.
and the turning head, a human body physically could not withstand that. So here's another thing I want to get into. The reason you see that, so a demon entity can alter light. So it'll make you see the head turning, but the head isn't physically turning. It's an illusion.
Yeah, like psionic abilities.
That's what they do. They basically people say some exorcisms they see it turn into this kind of dog or evil face. The human bone structure scientifically is not possible to do that. But so even though it looks like that, it actually physically isn't. It's the illusion that the demon made, and that's what I learned from this book. They can make illusions, and it makes it seem like that is, oh my God, they've become this demon with this claws and teeth, and that's the illusion they put out there.
Mhm.
That's something that is something I didn't know when I heard it. I was like, oh, it's an illusion they make. They are tricksters, like you said, trickster.
I would say that's probably some of the times, but not all of the times. Just like with aliens, I would think that just like reptilian, some people have reptilian DNA and can psionically make themselves glamorous, like or you make like project like they're more beautiful than they are, make
But
you that. But like I do, whenever you let something enter your body, it changes your genetics and how much it's attached to you. Like even they talk about this in Hollywood. People can become a reptilian through ritual and stuff like that. You have to have let something enter your body, and it will change your.
and that's the interesting fact is a demon doesn't actually isn't physically in the body. So this is what I learned from this book. It isn't physically in the body. It controls it like a puppet.
Yeah,
It
from the
can
back.
control multiple things at once. And the reason is it doesn't live on our plane of existence. It's in an alternative reality where it can do these things. So one demon, for example, could possess hundreds of people
Yeah.
at the same time. It would control them all at once. And that's more like it's a puppet master. And that's more all this stuff. When I was reading this, I was like, this is mind blowing stuff. I mean, you're saying the reptilian thing it would be a different topic than the demon topic.
Well, now that you're saying that, whenever we talk about reptilians, we could talk about clones. We could talk about NPCs that are here
Mhm.
on. I mean, what you're saying pretty much is like MK Ultra. Like there are said to be people who are programmed filler people, and when a time comes, they can be like uploaded with a purpose, or something can enter their body. They're here for vessels for another entity to be able to come in
Mhm.
and physically be able to interact with us, and then they'll leave the body. So this is really crazy because you have to think. I'm not always felt this false flags, shit like that happens. That's really unbelievable. Paid actors, we've learned about false flags and paid actors. It makes a lot of sense that some of these people are reused, you know, also because they have that contract for, like the vessel has that contract to be able to be like, oh, yeah, you can come down into me and stuff like that. So literally your family could be all being controlled by an entity. And that goes into like what I
And
want to talk about with narcissism because
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It's interesting because we're talking we've got
and
demons and alien, and now some say they're the same, some say they're different. I think there is a difference between both. Whereas a demon is the illusionist, the trickster, the liar. The alien can probably do other things. And I'm saying that perhaps even an alien could get possessed. I'm not entirely sure if that's a possibility. If a demon is a as powerful as it is,
I don't
and
know. They are the same thing though. And what if we are them?
it's that's a crazy crazy
You
thought.
know what I mean? What if we are also powerful? Be like I said, we're gods with amnesia stuff,
Mhm.
but we're just stuck in a body, but they're out there.
That
Not
that is very interesting. That is an interesting concept, and it could very well be. And but like the demon thing I'm talking about, like that really blew my mind was the fact that it said, like I said, that the illusion thing is an illusion. It's like a hologram. It's like you can hologram something, like you said, a false flag, a hologram.
that's like a tech. Tell me that's not like technology. That's why I say it's
Yeah.
simulation because of what they're able to do with reality is
Hmm.
like hacking in a video game. They can
Exactly.
you see things that aren't there. They and probably even solid. I don't even know. Maybe they can make solid objects. Like that's really crazy. I'm not sure. Don't. Well,
It's such an incept in the way you're referring to alien type thing and I'm referring to the demon type thing, and it's so weird that they have a very kind of similar.
oh God, yeah.
They're very similar in some ways and different in other ways. So this book definitely has made me think, shit, there's demons, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, it really has, and these are the pure evil things, and they would be. So what I've learned is, so if there was a heaven, we'll say there is heaven. In
How,
heaven, there's
how
a
many more minutes do we have? I don't want it to.
4 minutes, and then I can talk to the actor about the exorcism that I'm going to talk about. So 3 minutes 23. So as I was saying, oh, I lost train of thought.
Just don't want it to cut off and then it disappear our recording. I don't know if we
Mhm.
stop recording before.
Yeah, no, it will. It'll. We have a little bit of time. So they work on a different plane, and there's probably multiple planes of existence. Like the demons probably are on one plane, the alien entity's probably on another, and so on and so forth.
And that's not even talking about how many timelines there are.
Oh yeah, well that's
Because
another thing. To
time.
to a demon, time is irrelevant.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And this is another crazy fact because to a demon, time is irrelevant. To an alien, time is irrelevant. So it's there's this shit is just crazy mode blow on me because they're so similar.
I know, and it's so crazy to think like we could be. I mean, we still have that thing where okay, there's differences, but they're same, but they really could be the same thing, and that's too why I did bring up, and it
Hmm.
came to me like, what if we are just the same thing as they are, and we're just trying to separate, because energy cannot be created nor
Hmm.
destroyed. We die, we will be re. The only thing that could happen is the same type of thing that happened when you were born. That's what Alan Watts says. Like you will be born, like your consciousness will go somewhere and stuff like that. So like I don't
Yeah,
and then you can think about people who die who are wicked or something and then start to haunt people. Like what is that? Because the
that's
after
another thing as well. But they say that they could technically become a demon. Like
oh my God, yeah, before this ends, I want to talk we'll talk
we've
about it.
1 minute and 33.
I watched Monster House. If you've ever watched Monster House, have you ever watched that?
No.
Bro, you've never watched Monster House, the kid movie? Bro, it's pretty much about this dude who marries this chick. She was like really really aggressive and everything. Nobody would probably marry her but him. Um, and somehow she like was getting mad at kids that were fucking around on the house they were trying to build together as a couple. And she was doing something trying to fight the kids. She fell inside of the hole, died, and he continued to build the house. And he just made that her grave below. So she was below the house. And then her fucking soul was the house. So it's this amazing like
it's gonna go now.
huh?
It's
So
gonna go, so you can tell we can finish that. Yeah, it's got 1 minute, so we'll stop it and then we'll if you can send another link and we'll
okay.
continue. So it's gonna go right now. Excellent. So we did have a few quick little breaks and we're gonna get into the topic at hand. I mean, I thought this is gonna be a shorter podcast, but this is what's great about our podcast.
That and I know it's gonna I knew it was gonna be long and you're like, no, it's not long and bro, here we are.
Here we are. So we're gonna continue on. So before the breaks, there will be just little gaps you won't even notice it when you're watching it back.
Yeah, before the breaks, I was just talking about Monster House. If anybody has ever watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In other uh podcasts that we've done, me and Tanku have talked about like how like objects can hold soul, like entities or like things.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a soul can be inside something. But yeah, that if anybody knows, of course, that movie, that whole house literally turns into a monster, and then like the basement is where it's like in the furnace is her heart and stuff, and they have to pretty much take out the house. And it's actually really emotional because he loved that house. He was like an old mean man. He was always,
Hmm.
I mean, yelling at kids to get off his lawn, and that's what she would do stuff. So like he just didn't want the kids to get hurt because he knew she was aggressive. Like I said, that's why she like fell in the pit. Even though it's a kids movie, I'm telling you, and they even somebody else mentioned this on one of the podcasts. I've been watching a lot of kids movies lately. The amount of disclosure that's in kids movies is insane. I've just been watching kids movies, and I'm just like, like it's like wow, so much magic, of course, because that's where, but so much truth. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I was getting to when getting to that.
Yeah, no, I get you. So I'll have to check that movie out. So we're going to get on to what I said I was going to talk about at the start. And this is what's great about our podcast. It extends, so I will get to the topic at hand, exorcism. So this exorcism I'm going to discuss is I read about this exorcism. And this one's a weird one. So this is where I learned quite a bit. So how exorcisms work, I'm just going to check here. So there is 6 signs of an exorcism. I think you wanted the so there's 6 signs of an exorcism or of a demon. So the first sign is temptation. That's the first sign. The second sign is vexation. So I didn't know what vexation means. It actually means depression and feeling down. That's vexation. I didn't know that. The third sign is infestation. So when I say infestation, a demonic possession, it's not just one demon. There's a one higher demon. So in the way the demon structure works is the same as it did in the heaven structure. So in heaven there's angel hierarchies, lower hierarchies, and stuff like that. So it's said that they're fallen angels, when they fall to hell or whatever, they still have their same kind of levels. So you'll have a higher, a middle, and a low entity. And they'd be a higher angel, lower angel, and a middle angel. So that's kind of where it goes. And the same, it still works the same in hell. The hell is as above, we've heard this, as above, so below.
Mhm.
So heaven is ruled by God, hell is ruled by the devil. The devil is their lord, and the God is the angel's lord. And they kind of will do, based on that hierarchy they had in heaven, they would have the hierarchy in hell. So you'd have a high level entity or demon, a middle level demon, and a low level demon. And that's when a possession is not just one, it can be multiple. So usually a possession, the main demon, if they get tired, they'll go out of the person well, not they're not necessarily in the person, but they'll leave and they'll put another demon in its place. So how the demon structure works is demons are always in pain and always in torture. So if a higher demon and you're a smaller demon, it's going to throw you into this person it's possessing that you have to suffer now while it kind of gets a break and then it comes back. So that's why it's not just one demon. And usually the ones that give the most answers are the lower levels because they're not as strong. So they're weaker. They will give the most important thing with demon of what I learned is the first thing they need to know is its name. Because once you have a name, you know what you're gonna get rid of. The next thing is to know why it's possessed that person. And then how to get that person to get so how it works is the name, why it's possessed that person, and the person. This is where you said we are powerful creatures ourselves. The person is the one who has to take control and get rid of it, not the priest. The priest will tell the person you have to get it out by saying, for example, the Lord's Prayer or repeating what the exorcist says. So that indicates that the human body, yes, it can be weak to these things, but it can also be strong to get rid of them. And that's kind of how the demonic possession thing works. The person itself has to accept, I repent from whatever sin I committed, and then that,
Will. It's a very beautiful example of free will. And like they said, some people do not want those entities removed, and that's sometimes why exorcisms don't work. And this
correct.
too with Hollywood too, how they channel entities into their bodies all
Hmm.
to perform um and they start to look degraded and stuff like that. They want that. That's the life that they signed up for. So
Hmm. And that when I heard that, and that was the most, I always thought, oh, you can't get rid of it. But if you're a strong enough person and repent that sin or whatever it was, because they say it's a sin, and
mm,
that's why the demon got control of that person. So the story I'm going to talk about is it started off with this kid, well, not kid, he's 19. And his dad, now this is quite a sad story, his dad died of a heroin overdose. And the kid kind of went a bit, the teenager, because he was 19, rebelled a bit and then kind of joined this gang. And he joined this gang, and I'm not sure where it was, but this gang made him make a pact. So they had a, this is the story. They had a skull and they have to make a pact. They cut themselves. Now, this is a ritual. This is a ritual, and this shit happens everywhere. So that kid, that I keep saying he's a kid, he's 19, but I'm gonna say this kid, he made a pact with that gang. They had to make this pact and this accept this whatever it was, what this skull and this blood represented into them as, and then that they become a member of the gang. It's like an initiation into the gang.
yeah.
That's how this is where the story starts. So this kid is 19. His mum, I think, is a single mum. Well, the dad died of a heroin overdose, right? And she noticing that he was acting a lot strange and stuff like that. And she said, no, she wanted to keep him in the house with her. And he was a tall kid. I think he was 6 foot and he was quite strong. And apparently he bet his mum up, broke her ribs, gave her a black eye, and she had to go to the hospital. And she said it didn't seem like it was her son. So that was the
Mm,
first part of the whole story. So she kind of got onto her local kind of church, and they done all the usual. I'm gonna make this shorter. They done all the psych evaluations and stuff like that to make sure he did have a mental illness and stuff like that, and that was phased out. It wasn't a mental illness. He was. Then they said this isn't a mental illness. The church kind of got involved. They done their assessment, and it turns out this guy was possessed. So the priest was brought to the house to kind of perform an exorcism. So here, what I learned here is in the Exorcism movie, you just see the priest and another priest. That's incorrect. There is a priest, there's a holder. Now, the holder is very important. There's usually four holders, and the holder's purpose is to hold the person down. So, because when they're possessed, they have abnormal strength. So, they hold the person down. That's the holder, that's their job as a holder. So before this, the priest was trying to get this done, but two of his holders was unwell. So they always have a backup holder who's someone that's a volunteer to a volunteer of holders. They're responsible. So he called up this one guy, another holder, who was quite strong. His name is Gary, and that guy was currently having sex with a woman. Okay, fair enough. Turns out that woman wasn't his wife, and he's a happily married man.
Then
Yeah, so he's a holder. So this is the first thing. Now the priest didn't know this. Usually, if what a holder has to do before they hold, they have to confess their sins. So he should have confessed. This is going to be interesting when we get near the end of the story. So this guy didn't confess that he had been committing a sin. So anyway, he goes to the house. I'm making it shorter than it is. First of all, he goes home. Then his wife is calling him before he had it was 2 days before the exorcism. His wife is calling. He goes home. She cooks him dinner. He has a nice dinner. He stays with his kid and his kid. They're kind of a holy family, and his kid prays with him. And "Oh, I have to pray for you 3 times." The kid said, and the dad is, "Oh, why is that?" "Oh, because I have to ask him mommy 3 times for ice cream. So I pray for 3 times for you to be safe." So this is nothing to do with what's happened, but and then the dad who's committing adultery is having some kind of weird kind of guilt things in the back of his mind. So his mind isn't quite with it. So the day comes of the exorcism. He's called into the house. They do the holding of the thing. So well, as I'm saying, there's holders. So they're the holders. There's also a secretary who takes notes of everything that goes on in the exorcism. They have to. There's also a doctor present in case something really bad. I didn't know all this. I did not know there were so many people
I would
involved.
have thought too. And then there's like a not a choir, but at least
Yeah, a choir, yeah.
speaking, like you have to continue to speak other things, not just
Hmm.
them. I always thought there would have to be other people in the back
Yeah.
chanting a certain thing. So
And there
yeah,
is.
that
There's
makes sense.
there's a lot of people involved in an exorcism. It's not just two priests. So that's the exorcism movie shows two priests.
Mhm.
So the priest goes in to start this exorcism and he says, "What is demon? What is your name?" And this demon, it's pretty strong. It wouldn't give a name. So yeah, he had to repeat a few times. I'm making it shorter than it is. Demon, what is your name? Now, eventually the demon did give a name. Its name was I done a little picture of a character which has the same name, but it's not the same character. So the demon that was in this kid was called Leviathan. Now we've heard of Leviathan as this kind of demonic dragon creature.
Yeah.
So now, in saying that, it said it's Leviathan. Now, in saying a demon can pick any name.
It'll,
It may say it's Leviathan, it might not be Leviathan, but that's the name it chose in this event. So
yeah.
therefore, that's its name. So the demon, first of all, when we go back to the guy, the holder, when he left the girl, she said, the girl that he was having the sex with, she kind of said, "Oh, hot stuff. I'll see you later," kind of thing, and he kind of found that funny. So this just take note. She said hot stuff. Then, in this whole kind of possession thing, the demon seemed to take a bit of notice of that guy, Gary, and it said, "Oh, hey, hot stuff." The demon said the exact same thing the woman said.
Did you watch that
I read this whole thing and I was like, shit.
in that one in that one or the thing I sent you? The guy talks about how Ouija boards, how people think they're
Hmm.
to like somebody higher than,
Yeah.
or they think they're talking to like their
Hmm.
that somebody you love, but like it can tell, it can be like tell you something personal, like, oh,
Yeah,
my
that's
my gram would have known that, but it's because the demon was present. He was with
mhm.
that dude. That's scary. They can be so many places at once.
This is the
Not because
thing.
yeah, he was with that dude,
Hmm.
witnessed him doing that back then, so that's why he was able to pull that out.
So it said hot stuff. Now the priest this wasn't sure what this was about, and this guy Gary still didn't admit that he's been committing adultery. He's like, oh, he. So the demon already knew this guy was up to something. So that's the first part of the story.
And too, like he's susceptible then.
Exactly. You're getting to the point, Jesus. So the priest is doing the exorcism. So basically, the priest eventually gets the kid to admit. I forgive my father for leaving me, and the sin was the kid didn't thought his dad it's his dad's fault that he turned bad. So to make it short, basically the kid forgave his dad for over. It's not your fault that your dad took heroin and overdosed. It's not your fault. The kid accepted. The kid thought it was his fault. It's quite sad because he did think it was his fault, and that's why he went the way he did.
Just like that, what the first story about that girl who just wanted a kid.
Yeah. It's quite an emotional one, and then so eventually the priest gets the truth out, and then that gets rid of. I'm making this shorter than it is. That gets rid of the demon. However, demon was still quite strong, and they didn't know why. And eventually it kind of got harder and harder, and it took it was really strong. This demon was very powerful because it had the kid couldn't completely say I forgive my. He eventually did after 3 or 4 times, and then it left him. And then it looked, the kid, before it left him, it looked towards the guy, Gary.
So like,
And and this is where it's fucked up. So the kid he's free of the demon. He goes to his mum. His mum is they go away from the room. But now Gary is acting very weird and strange. And Gary was a big, strong, muscular guy, black belt in karate. So Gary went on the ground and done this kind of snake-like movement. We know what's happened. The demon got to Gary. The other holders tried to hold Gary down. He punched him, knocked him out, pushed him, knocked them all out. He got up, he headbutted the priest, and he left the house.
and they never got him.
Never got
Holy fuck, dude.
fuck.
So that,
So,
oh my God. I mean, that's two energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so it has
mm,
to be transferred. It had to transfer from one vessel to another. And if you don't get that shit, oh God, that's scary as fuck.
and that was the first that when I read this is rare, but it happens. And because that guy didn't confess to the
I mean,
fucking.
yeah, because they're just like you said, they're a part of the Catholic whatever. They
Hmm.
really just like they have to take oaths. And I know people don't think that that's
Hmm.
yes, but I think whenever you sign, just like you sign an agreement with the devil and make a
Hmm.
pact, that's kind of what you're doing whenever you're like, I'm going to be a priest. You
Hmm.
cannot you cannot do certain literally you can't do certain things
So,
and like that, and then that makes it even more powerful that it was able to jump into the body of somebody who was in the act of trying to prevent an exorcism.
exactly.
So how powerful can that demon be
Hmm.
portraying a guy who
It
believed
just
like
it just knew, and that was always like shit. So that guy walked out with that demon in him. So and now we're getting to something else. So that guy is still out there with that demon in him, right? Now we're getting to something else. You were saying about narcissism, and we're saying narcissism because there's a lot more people out there that are incredibly narcissistic. And this is more than ever. And I'm pretty sure there is links to entities of sorts. And like, it could be like, we're saying this Leviathan thing had control of that guy, that woman he was having sex with, and the kid all at once. So it was cunning. And that's frightening because if that's just one demon that has control over multiples.
and imagine how STDs work, and I'm not talking about diseases. I'm talking
Hmm.
about sexually transmitted demons, which
Hmm.
are real. People
Yeah,
sit around with each other, exchanging energies. It has a hold on all those people. And that's too one way. Like, that's a sin to be sleeping with somebody else while you're to share your body with somebody else while you're in a pact with, especially
he was
like
married with a
it's
kid.
literally illegal. You're not, and that's one of the, it's a very, people think but it's a very holy concept,
Mhm.
because you're not supposed to share your energy or your body with anybody else. And sex magic is a real thing, and it's one of the most powerful magics ever
Mhm.
if you know how to do it. And it's used ritualistically terribly in Hollywood, and all types of shit like that. Yeah,
I
that's a lot
mean,
they practice.
so that story is an example of it moving from one to another, and like the demons can take different names. It took Leviathan as its name. It might not be Leviathan. That was its name it chose there. It could, in another person, it could say, I am such and such. That's the name it's chosen of the time.
And I wanna like cross this with aliens and how
Hmm.
I think that some of these ancient astronauts played the same trickster ass shit with us.
Mhm.
Like you're the same, aren't you that god? And then you come
Yeah.
here saying you're like with a different name, convincing us of something else. That's pretty much very similar to that. How the gods would come back or go to different places and change their name to cause confusion and and then like religion, you know how like that's there that's something period. If you just think about religion, nobody has been killed over more things than religion. So
Correct.
what driving religion? What really is it? Because it's not just a bunch of humans. There are entities that are behind these things. And this is why we're out of the Vatican and that whole thing, like how they can jump to other people. Because if you're not really it's so crazy how they can portray to be holy. They can put all of this thing in, but they're actually demonic, bro. Like
Hmm.
they channel these entities. The Vatican has a whole archive, of books that talk about this type of stuff that should be shown to the world. Like who knows what the Vatican library
They,
is?
they they keep it secret, and like they are the only ones that can perform an exorcism as well. As well, they can rid the world of these demons as well. But it's not just demons. It's like there's probably something more than demons out there. Demons are one entity within the world, and then when I look at today, even look online, there's like you were saying about you wanted to talk about narcissism, and there is so many people that are so self-centered and selfish that only care about themselves. In my head.
A lot deeper than that. Narcissism is like when you deal with a narcissist, it's scary and it gets really emotional
Mhm.
because they'll make you feel like you're crazy. And I'll just give this little story, and I've told it before, and I'll give it quick, as quick as I can. So this was last year before I had to move into my apartment that I'm in now because I got evicted. It was the night before Christmas, Christmas Eve, and I got a shower, and things are already like tense in my house. If anybody knows, I'm a recovering addict. I've put my family through a lot, but I'm 5 years clean and stuff. So I was doing good. Me and my mom have been having like really, really hard time like connecting with each other again. But I knew that we weren't really celebrating Christmas at that time, but I wanted to see my mom. I knew she was leaving the house. So I got in the shower and I heard her going down the steps, and we just got this new house. And I had this towel on that I had brought from my ex's house. And it's a distinct blue towel. I wish I should have brought it to grab it because it means a lot to me just because of this whole situation. And it's just a fish towel. And it came from his house. But this is just an example of what a narcissist can do. And I'll say here, like, even if my mom watches this, I'm telling the truth. Like, nothing I'm saying is a lie. It's not to make her look bad, but it's to like bring awareness to if you do not call these things out, it's like a demon. Like I said, that pointing thing when I pointed at her. I don't know if you remember that, but anyway, I'll go back to the story. But so I turn the corner and my mom sees a towel and she is a control freak. She has to control everything. She thought that I was using my little brother's towel, which is not a big deal anyway, but she made it the biggest deal. We fought on the steps for like 30 minutes and it got heated. We were screaming at each other over a towel. I got so crazy. I had to call my ex and be like, and we were no contact. I had to call him and be like, because I thought I was crazy. Like, my mom's really trying to tell me that she bought this towel. And it's not only that, she was fighting with me so hard about this towel. Like, I'm like, what the fuck ever? I'll just wash it, thinking, like, what is your problem? She calls my dad, my stepdad, Brian. And the thing about narcissists, a lot of people are afraid to step up to them. If you don't step up to a narcissist, bro, you're feeding their fucking delusions and you're making them more powerful. So she was like, Brian, come here. And I'm in my towel. And he comes like on the how there. He does not even look at the towel. He does not look at the towel at all. Like his head is like this. And my mom was like, Brian, didn't I buy that towel for the kids for swimming? And he's like, yep. And just walks away. I was like, are you fucking serious? And it escalated from that because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you guys are feeding mom's delusions and she's freaking out. Like, this is crazy. And then it got to a point where we got into a fight. They wanted to put me in the hospital because of, I snapped because I was pushed to the point. Like, I just felt fucking crazy, but I don't, like, I wasn't. And her trying to turn it on me and everything like that. But as she was yelling at me, she started bringing up old things and she was like, I don't recognize you. Where's my daughter at? And she said this to me before. And as she's saying that, I'm staring at my mom in the doorway. You know, she just tried to force herself in my room, but my brother got in between. I'm looking at my mom dead in the eyes, and they turned black. And I did not recognize her either. As soon as she said, I don't recognize you, where's my daughter? I looked at her and I was like, hold up, because I do not recognize you. Who are you? You know? And that's something to think about. And then I told you about that story about her trying to control something, and I had to go downstairs. And this is where I built up my fear. Like my mom might be bigger than me and shit like that, but I don't play about anything anymore. Like if you're wrong, you're wrong. And like she did something, and I told you about how I went downstairs and she lied to my face. I caught her in the lie, and I said this was just like me casting out a demon inside of my mom. I walked into the room in her face. I got close too. I was not scared because I was like, there's something else in my mom that's not fucking her. And I was like, you are a liar. I felt like a little kid. And even she said, stop pointing at me. It was making her mad, irritating her like a
Jesus.
demon. I was like, you are lying, mom. I was like, you're not, like, I seriously was like so passionate about, like, I literally did feel like a priest casting something out, letting this thing know I know the games that you're playing and I'm not fucking crazy because you said that they try to pull illusions on you to make you feel like you're crazy. That's what was happening. And if it gets enough people, like my family was so blind to this, they were feeding her delusions because they're afraid to have conflict. I don't give a fuck. I left the house. I moved out 30 on my own now, and I'm great. I'm better, you know. And as far as my mom, like that's just her business. This wasn't really to like out my mom, but to tell, like, let people know this happens to a lot of people. I don't know if you've experienced this in your relationships that you've been in, or you know, with your parents or anything, but like I've dealt with this with like an ex and my mom, and like watching my family as if narcissism was like a parasite or a virus that spread to them. It's like she was the main entity that didn't care, and everybody treated me based on how she felt about me. If my mom was mad, they would be mad. If she was happy with me, they would be happy with me and stuff. So she would control everything. Um, but uh, so yeah, me not recognizing her and everything, narcissism. I start to like look it up and look up the things that they do. They gaslighting, love bombing you, and then like calling you crazy, recording you, just doing. There is literally a list. It's a diagnosis that you can get diagnosed with narcissism, and it's hard as hell. And I do think it's like an entity. Like,
Yeah, it's what you're telling me there, and I'm no fucking expert whatsoever. If I was, you'd have the usual. It does, in a weird way, almost sound like and let me just go through the little list of what we have here. Um, temptation, vexation, infestation, oppression. That's the fourth sign of a demon. Obsession,
Oh,
oppression, and then hmm?
I'm not trying to out my mom, blah blah blah, but this is the truth. Like my mom back then, she would put her hands on me, and just recently last year, she came into my room and she did throw me around. My mom has extra strength when she's mad, and she even told me about an event where she lifted a car up off her dad in an instance because it dropped on him when he was. So I don't know, and my mom's RH negative too. I don't know if you know how what that has to do with anything. How negative RH negative blood, but I kind of would always think that I don't know if my mom's had this thing in her, but like my mom has not always been like this. You know,
It's like they could be not necessarily internally, it's like externally influencing, which is another way that they do it. We don't know. Like this is just based on what I've been reading and that thing. I'm not saying this is the
yeah,
case. Like it could be just like you say, it can be diagnosed. It could be an illness as well. But like the thing is, the person themselves has to look for help, and
yeah,
that's the problem.
yeah. And also some people do confuse multiple personalities with being
Mhm.
demonic, like
Exactly.
with demonic because there's so many different people in one person. How so many different demons can they used to think that was demon, and then like we talked about how they looked at our brains on the brain scans and everything, and how literally certain areas can like tell you if a person is possessed, just like a certain area can tell you if you have a
Yeah.
problem what was
Exactly.
causing you to have schizophrenia. Like it's crazy.
Hmm.
It's literally like a doorway that opens in your brain that it
And
can connect to. Like,
we're not saying anyone that has narcissism, it's we're not saying they're possessed. It's just
oh yeah, no,
it's a general observation that this is where demonic connections and a mental illness would be
it just
very
makes
similar,
sense.
but they're not. It's like no, I'm not saying that's the case. It's just
Okay, listen, you just
Mhm.
mentioned, and I'm not afraid to tell people about my past. I've, like I said, I have agoraphobia, and I was in a recent depression. I would go like 3 or 4 days without showering. I was so depressed. I was not leaving my room or anything. Do you know that not showering, like a showering is like a cleanse, and it's a spiritual cleanse too, and you can do
Correct.
that. A depression, just like you mentioned, is like having an entity that is feeding off of you not being able to do anything. And like, and if I had a messy area and I was dirty myself, it would be even worse, you know.
Mm.
As soon as I could get up and like try to push myself to do anything, even if it was just a shower first, I started to feel more in control, like, and it just built off of that. And it does feel like this entity just took control of me. And it was after I got off of drugs too. So I was probably, my chemicals were all off balance. Who knows what vibration I was at? I was very
Your
susceptible.
vibration, yeah, would be like
Exactly.
that's another thing they mention in general, like the medication, drugs, and not just legal, and there's legal and illegal. Like either can weaken the vibration, and that can let anything in, and
Yeah.
that's when these demons, I'm gonna keep saying these, they find a path in, and that's it. They can get in through depression, and then a
Yeah.
person feels so like they have to, and I'm useless, and
And they feed
and it,
energy
uh,
harvest.
yeah, exactly.
But
Energy harvesting, and the strange thing is that's also similar to alienist. Like it's just this is such an interesting episode. We have five minutes, but we will. Can we do another after this one just to finish up?
I mean, how long is this gonna be, Ben? And I just want to say something. Like,
Well, 5 minutes. So if you want to say something, then we can finish it off, I guess.
I forgot what I wanted to say though. What were you just saying? Because it was,
Were we talking about the signs? Was I talking about the signs of thing exorcisms or?
yeah, I kept trying to say, it lost.
Ah, well, look, it's been a good one. It's been a long enough episode. We've had like three little pieces. This is going to be a long one. Like they always end up being long ones anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, we could cut them up if you'd want to like do another maybe like 20 more minutes. I don't know, and then make two different podcasts. But
Ah, no. This will be a nice one big podcast. So I think we had a nice little discussion here. I think we can kind of finish it up, I guess, in a couple of moments. And like, so anyone out there, like, we're talking. I did talk about demonic possession, and it's not always. Most cases, it's not demonic possession when stuff like this happens. But on rare occasions, they can be. But there's completely has to be assessed by the correct people to confirm it first off.
yeah,
And I think,
a great podcast. I'm sorry, I'm just still trying to remember what I wanted to say because it was like super important. But it went out of my head.
oh, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. It happens. It's long. It's like Jesus. It's quite late here. It's like 1:15 in the morning. What time is it there?
This is date 16.
So it's 1:16 here. Yeah. So I hope this episode was beneficial to some people.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great conversation, and we will probably do another one in the future. And this has been episode 6
Yes.
of I was going to say Tengu Tribe.
That's it. Kidding.
Hmm?
It's at episode 666.
It would be funny if it was, yeah.
Mhm.
Episode 6. And yeah, we covered a lot in this episode, so like, subscribe if you want, and thank you everyone for even tuning in. The likes and subscribes are somewhere around the screen.
Mhm.
So I am gonna say good night from Tengu.
And peace.
And